So I'm just making this video to express myself, get something off my chest. I'm a really good driver. I'm a very professional driver, very trained driver. I have multiple certifications, lead certifications, ARA certified, lots of extra certifications. I've driven tanker, I've driven flatbed, I've driven reefer. Of course, I've driven dry van, mini 53-footers. And altogether, I've driven over 2 million miles in the 23 years since I got my CDL. And I'm looking for a job right now. Now, I talk on my channel about how CFI hired me under the pretense of making me a Southwest regional driver. And I specifically told my recruiter, I don't want to drive in North Carolina. Don't hire me if you're going to send me to North Carolina. And I got the messages to prove that. And I'm going to start working on a video to show all the messages that I sent my recruiter. I talked about this during orientation, and I ran this over and over again through CFI. My very last day talking to somebody and supervising, he had told me something like, because like I said, they hired me for Southwest Regional. And I might even pause this video to show on my phone where they said I would be driving, what they hired me for. And I don't really want to drive in the Confederate flag states. I was born in Chicago. I live in Austin. Ain't no Confederate flags in none of these states. The attitudes of the city were not very Confederate friendly. And I've been putting in applications because I am interested in driving trucks again. Uber did something crazy to me. Something really crazy to me. And then they hung up on me. And like I just sent them a message. I'm not driving for you guys again until we solve that problem. But anyway, I don't want to drive for Uber anymore. But I am a very good truck driver. I'm a very experienced driver. And lately, there's been a lot of crazy news from truck drivers. That one truck driver did that crazy illegal turn in Florida. Now, I don't want to drive in Florida. Florida is the very first state I ever boycotted. Way back when I was driving for CRST, way back between 2013 and 2015, when I first got with CRST, I was just driving all 48 states. However, Trayvon Martin got killed, and that other kid, I'm sorry I forgot his name, but the kid that got killed because he was playing, well, he wasn't even playing, he was in a car where they were playing loud music, and some old man just shot him. And Florida, one, they let George Zimmerman off. They didn't give, George Zimmerman was clearly drunk on the 911 call, and they never gave him an alcohol test, never gave him a drug test. They let him murder that child, and that's just the attitude and mentality of Florida. I don't care. I'm related to people from Florida, but I don't care what nobody say. Florida is even more racist than Texas. North Carolina is the worst. It's the worst state as far as racism, and it's crazy because there's so many black people in North Carolina. It'll blow your mind. And, you know, I met plenty of cool people in North Carolina. Last few times I've been in North Carolina, I actually had fun when I wasn't out in Confederate country. You know, when you're actually in the city, you know, Charleston and Charlotte, you know, you might think that you're in Chicago sometimes. So many black people, but 2 truck drivers have been hung in the past year. In the past 365 days, Javion McGee from Chicago, young man, 21 years old, maybe 22, found hanging from a tree. And then Mario Kaiser III. These MAGA truckers, MAGA's taking over trucking. And, you know, they complain about everything. Not one mention of Javion McGee. They're trying to say he killed himself. There's no way we believed it. You know, they found him tied to a dirty tree, sitting in dirt with a rope wrapped around his neck 7 times. Get real. And he was young, and there was just no reason. He wasn't depressed about nothing. had a real good job, making good money. And there's some photos of him being harassed by the police days before it happened. So it's just too suspicious. And it happened in North Carolina. What are the freaking odds? Just a month, not even a month ago, baby, about 3 weeks ago, you had that trucker at the landfill in North Carolina, where the landfill workers literally took his trailer with backhoes and flipped his trailer over. You know, I was a garbage man for years, picking up dumpsters and working at landfills, worked at a lot of landfills. So for me, that's extra personal. And then, you know, I don't hate dogs, but I don't dislike dogs. And that was disgusting how when the sheriff shows up, the sheriff slams that black trucker's dog's face in the door. You know, you people care about dogs so much, except for situations like this. A little puppy too, man, a little cute puppy. Little sweet dog. Dog wasn't aggressive or nothing. He just, it was this last incident in North Carolina. Linebacker 71C. North Carolina guy catches a plane in Virginia, gets on the plane, and he's just berating everybody, throwing the N-word around. And they're pleading and begging with this dude to just sit down and stop calling people the N-word. And that actually has a happy ending. But they was in Colorado. I like Colorado. But yeah, I don't want to drive in the South. So I have probably I actually put in some applications today. I got about 7 job offers to go drive trucks. Every single one of them wants me to drive in these Confederate flag states or on the East Coast. Why? Why can't I have a trucking job unless I'm willing to drive where they waving these Confederate flags? That's just too much trouble. It doesn't make sense. Black truckers are constantly coming up dead over there. Suspicious, mysterious reasons and ways. Nobody wants to stand up for these guys. Even the black community, they don't care. Nobody's reporting this. Nobody's talking about this. Again, they complain about everything else. And I don't know if I said South Carolina. This is all in North Carolina. Right around Durham. I had a passenger in my car the other day from North Carolina. He hadn't heard none of this, and he's steady telling me, "Are you sure this is North Carolina? How do you not know this? How do you not know this?" All these other stories are going viral, but nobody talks about Javion McGee. Nobody talks about Mario Kaiser. But anyway it goes, why is the only jobs you guys want me to drive? And they're really insisting on North Carolina. That's the crazy thing about these jobs. They're like, no, you got to drive in North Carolina. There's 48 contiguous United States. Why the insistence on sending my black self to North Carolina when MAGA says they don't want people like me there? The trucking industry doesn't want people like me. Again, I've driven for over 23 years. And it doesn't matter how many miles I drive. It doesn't matter how safe I drive. It doesn't matter how good of a trainer I am. And ask any one of my students how good of a driving trainer I am. Very thorough, very safe. That U-turn, I can guarantee you no student of mine would ever do anything like that. They shouldn't even call that was a U-turn. I'm a mass consumer of that type of media, and I'm always looking for accidents and stuff like that. I have never seen anything like that, and that's not a U-turn. A U-turn is when you're in one lane, you do your little wide thing, and you go back in another lane. This guy blocked 2 or 3 lanes on the highway. Again, that was not a U-turn. A U-turn is like this. This fool went like this, and when they hit him, he was stopped. So again, that's not a turn at all. A U-turn is one continuous motion. It happens in 18-wheelers all the time. There are legal ways to do it. What he did was not illegal at all. It wasn't legal at all. That's why most articles I've seen that reported on this, they said an illegal U-turn. But again, that's not a U-turn. That was, and again, a turn is one continuous motion. You don't stop during a turn, especially a U-turn or question mark turn or anything like that. That dude, again, I don't like Florida. And I think, in a lot of ways, it's a lot of stuff happening in Florida. People don't want to work in Florida. The farms are in trouble. But Florida voted for MAGA. And all of us, even those of us who didn't vote for Donald Trump, and those of us that voted for Kamala Harris, we bear some responsibility for this, for not educating ourselves, for not educating our children, for not speaking out on what's going to happen. I made a prediction on my YouTube channel earlier today, or not earlier today, earlier this year. Once Donald Trump got elected, and it was pretty sure, we're pretty sure that he's going to do this tariff thing. And not only is he going to do this tariff thing, but so many people were supporting him and backing him up. I predicted that. What I call a Great Depression 2.5 is coming. Now, I talk to a lot of MAGA people. I like debating, and I can debate with anybody. Keep it respectful, because I'm notorious for matching a person's energy, and people don't like that. People want to have attitude and be short with you, and when you give them a fraction of the same energy they're giving, they want to act like they're the victim or something. You want to be respectful? Be respectful. You want somebody to talk to you gently or kindly? Talk kindly and gently. So many people are talking very flippant, very disrespectful, imposing their ideologies and their ideas on other people. And when anybody pushes back, you want to claim victim. Out the other side of your neck, you're the main one talking about freedom of speech. You shouldn't get offended by anything anybody says. So why are you so offended when people say something about Donald Trump or MAGA or whatever? Any criticism of your side, can't say it no other way. You straight bitch about it. Or you get violent about it. You know that I mentioned that guy from North Carolina. His name was really weird. It was like Dwayne Leroy Carter or Carver. Dwayne Leroy. It was something really crazy. Little white guy. But he wasn't little, but you could tell he was a bully and a terrorist. And he's one of these guys from North Carolina that yaps, talks about black people all day, every day, isn't around black people. And even in the clip that went viral, it's like linebacker 71C or something like that, he's yelling at the women. He's all in the women's face. N-word this, N-word this, N-word this. And then a big black dude gets out his seat, puts him in his chair and says, "Sit your ass down." And he's looking up at him like, stop being a bully. And the main reason about this video I'm making, all these trucking companies, and it's crazy, I can't find it's crazy. I live in Texas. The vast majority of the land in America is west of where I live. I live in Austin, Texas. The vast majority of the land in America is west of where I live. Why do you want to send guys like me to the east? I'm a Tupac fan, so I don't like the East Coast because of that. And two, there's freight from Texas to California, and I'm willing to do border town. All these truckers who complain about the border, I love the border. I love New Mexico. I love Arizona. Well, I love driving there. I don't want to live in either one of those places. I love California. I love driving to California. Again, Tupac fan, California love. And, my brown ass, that's the only place I really fit in. On the East Coast, I even got to worry about black people asking me really weird questions. Black people love asking me if I'm black. What the hell might I be? What the hell might I be? What the hell do you think I might be? Based on my accent, even when my country accent is thick, because I've been in Texas for a long time, and sometimes depending on what music I'm listening to or who I've been around for the longest, I got a little bit of a Texas twang sometimes. It's probably not as quite as thick and deep as this. Sometimes I got a little bit of Texas twang, My accent is probably Chicago. I got like a Chicago, Texas accent. But either way I go, certain Southerners, and they be the old Southerners. Candace Owens is very viral for always talking about black people and black issues. And she loves saying black people are more racist than white people. Look, racism is an individual thing. Some people are racist, some people are not. But those type of black people, those Southern ass black people, they're the same. They're super ignorant when it comes to race. All black people do this, all white people do this. And it's like, you're a hillbilly too. You ain't been nowhere yourself. You don't know anything about black history at all. At all. Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks. That's it. Anything else, you don't know that. And the whole thing, sometimes people ask me, your name is Diego. You're black, but your name is Diego. Yeah. Yeah, it's a Spanish name. Is Spain close to Africa or is it close to Mexico? Did they invade Africa first or did they invade Mexico first? Even if you don't know the answer from studying history, what does your brain tell you? Spain is like 30 miles from Mexico at its closest points. Are you stupid? Most of the first black Americans, most of the first blacks in America had names like Diego or Francisco or Juan or you know what I'm saying? That's your history. And then the main thing that kills me about people that are like, her name's Diego, man. Like, what the hell? My name ain't European enough. My name ain't Anglo-Saxon enough. My name should be David or Richard or some other anglicized version. I'm not black because my name ain't anglicized enough for you. Do you know what that word means? You dumb black hillbilly. These are jokes, people. But my jokes be true. Now, I do get it all. I could be around the board and I definitely get some racism and some crazy stuff. But for the most part, I don't get it that much. It's a lot of problems around the border. A lot of machismo stuff, a lot of staring contests. And flat out, to be honest, I've been in some road rage situations, been in some truck stop fights in Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. Had some close calls in California. But I'm the type of guy that loves to smell the roses. Another reason I don't want to be in North Carolina or the East Coast, period. I like to hike. And while the weather's lovely, and again, I don't hate Virginia. I do hate the Confederate stuff. And that stuff's got out of control. And it's always been a problem in the in-between places, like when you're going from urban place to urban place and you got to go through these little rural areas. It's been bad, but now it's crazy and they're super bold. And when it comes to the North Carolina legislation, these dudes are real-life Confederates. They voted in so many Confederates. And the black population in North Carolina, it doesn't make any sense. There's enough black voters to affect politics. We should have some senators, some black senators from North Carolina. Again, you worried about if I'm black, you goofies. Are you black? Why aren't you voting for black people? Why aren't you voting? Why are the Confederates taking over? Why don't you stand up? Why don't you protest? And again, not a shout out, not a disrespect to all North Carolina dudes. There are plenty of pro-blacks in North Carolina. There are plenty of black people in North Carolina fighting and protesting and even speaking up about Javion McGee. There's even a few talking about Mario Kaiser. Most people don't know about Mario Kaiser. And that story, I think the reason they ain't talking about that as much is because that dude clearly didn't commit suicide. That dude was way too heavy to do what he did. He was hanging from a tree. The logistics of that is just not possible. They say he climbed on this little bitty stool that's rated to hold like 80 pounds. And this is a big old boy. And he somehow climbed to the limb of this tree You know what I'm saying? The logistics of it. He had to balance himself on the stool, hang up there, tie the rope, and it's just, I'm a pretty strong dude. I could do some pull-ups. That dude wasn't doing no pull-ups. And he definitely wasn't like holding himself up with one arm and doing all this logistically impossible. So, the main thing about this is, say what you want to say, but what are your excuses for me? What are your excuses for me? I've driven over 2 million miles, completely safe. I've had accidents before, but it's been a real long time since I've had any kind of accident in a commercial vehicle. And even my commercial vehicle accidents, no serious damage to the vehicle. Every vehicle that I had my very first trucking accident, fresh out of trucking school, 23 years ago. I damaged the pickup truck. I didn't do much damage to the truck I was driving, but I did damage a pickup truck. Very sorry, regretful for that. I was 22, 23 years old. 22, 23 years old. I'm not 100% sure. But it's a long time ago. I'm 47 now. And then I had another accident about a week later where me and another truck, our mirrors collided. And you got to say my truck, my mirror hit his mirror. But all of that was fresh out of trucking school. I hadn't been out of trucking school 3 months. And nobody got hurt. Not a lot of financial damage. But I learned from my mistakes. And a guy like me has to make mistakes to learn. And I had one other accident where I flipped a garbage truck on its side because I was in the mountains. And that particular thing, it really, that was not just my fault. That was the conditions. That was the mountains. I was doing a specialized route. I was driving on a mountain where trucks were not allowed to drive, except we had an exception because I was a garbage man. And I was going to a place that had to have their garbage picked up. And again, it was an exception thing. And the way my truck flipped over, I was going 5 miles an hour when my truck flipped over. But it was the day after Christmas, and I was just too heavy. I was too heavy, wet trash, boom, fell on my side. And even that was in 2008, or maybe 2007. That was in 2007. Now to think about it, that was 2007. My last trucking accident. And again, all by myself, no damage done. And the way it fell, all I had to do was right side up the truck. That truck was rolling again in about a month. They had to replace a couple of bearings and things like that. But that truck was up in not a couple months. That truck was up and running about a month. And I was driving. And I was discouraged about it. I tried to quit. My boss insisted that I didn't quit because nobody was going to do that job. It would have been hard as hell to replace me. It was hard as hell to find me, let alone replace me. And this was in Kerrville, actually. The place that just flooded really bad not too long ago. Another place. I was talking to a relative in Kerrville who saw one of my videos where I was talking about how the racist treatment I got in Kerrville. But again, I was a garbage man out there for 2 years. I could have been a garbage man out there for 50 years. I still would have got the crazy stares. I still would have had the police following me, pulling me over. There was 1 month in Kerrville, the same police officer pulled me over 3 times in 1 month, thoroughly searched my video. I was in full uniform. One time he searched my vehicle. I was on Landfill Road. I unlocked the gate to go into the Landfill Road. This guy pulls me over right as I'm about to clock in, and we clocked in at 4 o'clock in the morning. And this cop, same cop, he's pulling me over before work, after work. I don't even know how the fuck that happened. The last time he pulled me over, I lost my temper. And I was like, this is the last fucking time I'm going to give you permission to search my vehicle. Because when he pulled me over, I did give him permission. Like, go ahead and search my truck. This is ridiculous. Hopefully I got some of that shit on video. But again, it doesn't matter if I drove trucks in that town for 50 years. Donald Trump has been credibly accused of sexual assault. These people I have a problem with, these MAGA people, they voted for Trump after the Epstein stuff. There's pictures. You've seen the picture. You probably seen the picture with Donald Trump surrounded by those teenage girls and they're laughing at him, pointing at him, laughing. And I'm not going to talk about the whole context of that picture, but you've seen it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make that the thumbnail of this video. Just in case you haven't seen it. But You voted for him. I have never been accused of sexually assaulting anybody by anybody in my life, especially as a freaking adult. So you can't accuse me of being no pedophile. I was a freaky little boy. I ain't gonna lie, man. I got a messed up childhood, man. So, my freakiest years, I'm not even gonna say the years, but I was too young, man. But that's one of the problems as a child victim, really, when you follow the definition, I was a victim of sexual assault. But again, it doesn't matter if I drive 10 million miles. When I'm driving through the outskirts of North Carolina, people gonna pull me over and try to point me out, especially if I want to go on a hike or something. When I go on my little hikes, I be trying to be by myself. But still, people will call the police on me, say some suspicious looking guys walking through and all this other type of stuff. Walk through the grocery store. People grabbing their children, pulling them away. Like I'm the predator. Same people that probably voted for a predator. So, driven over 2 million miles and I've gotten nowhere. And most of my OTR driving, I was doing jobs where I was driving on the East, and they love sending me to the East Coast. They love sending me to the East Coast. I can't find a trucking job where I don't have to drive on the East Coast. Again, most of this country is east of I-35 or west of I-35. Yeah, I get most people are congested over there, which is another reason I want to drive over there. But there's plenty of freight that needs to go from Texas to Vegas to San Diego, California, all over California, Sacramento, Seattle, Portland, all kind of, all of this stuff, man. There's plenty of people that live over there. There's plenty of people that need freight over there. And I've done it. I've done the coast-to-coast thing, especially team driving. So I just want a solo job where I don't have to go to the East Coast, where they don't want niggas like me. Even the Southern niggas, I made a video about that. Even the Southern niggas don't like Chicago niggas coming around now. When it comes to the Javion McGee, I was there. I was in North Carolina just months ago. Because CFI just kept sending me to North Carolina. CFI promised me, I'm going to pause this to pull that up. So here's the message from my recruiter. I got the top half of this covered up just so you don't see her name, but it is from Contract Freighters Incorporated. The location, it got the number there. I don't give a damn. It's a public number, it's listed. But again, it's one of their numbers, so I ain't lying. And CFI mad at me for disclosing this. You should have kept your part of the contract. But the regional, SMS, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Southern California, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, some of Iowa, some of Southern Illinois. And from the very beginning, that was true. That was not true. They sent me as far north as the Canadian border. I literally got pictures of Canada. They sent me way north from the very beginning. Let me pause this because I want to find the exact message when I said no North Carolina, no New Jersey. I can't find the messages when I sent it to... Oh, wait, hold on one second. I just thought about something. I'm not finding the messages where I sent it to my recruiter yet. I think it's because I did clean up this phone, clean out all the messages. But this is a message directly to my dispatcher. Honestly, I'd rather go all the way. They gave me a load to New Jersey. I didn't want to go to New Jersey. And I was mad about it because they had kept giving me loads to New Jersey. I was out of the Laredo, Texas terminal. And my last 3 loads out of the terminal. And again, they hired me for Southwest Regional. And I definitely know how I can find that. That's in my emails, but I got to look at this phone to show my emails. But hold on one second. No, I already checked that email. I checked what I could on this device. But Like I say, I explicitly said before I went there, I said, don't even hire me if you guys are going to be trying to send me to North Carolina. But here's a message to my dispatchers. This is one of the last ones when I was getting mad and I was like, y'all keep telling me y'all not going to send me to New Jersey. Honestly, I'd rather go all the way, because they was like, well, we'll take the load. And what that meant was they get somebody else to take the load and I would just be sitting there. That's how these trucking companies do, especially with a driver like me. Especially, I'm a good driver. I'm a good ass driver. And so anyway, I can't remember. Oh, I do know what happened. I got a ticket, but it wasn't a ticket against me. It was one of those tickets that went against the company. And I can't remember it. Oh, I know why. Because they cut the trailer open and it was something that I couldn't really control. But they gave the company a ticket. And I was mad. I was mad because I don't get tickets. I don't get commercial tickets. So I'm mad at the company. And I'm like, first of all, y'all gave me a trailer that was loaded improperly. Second of all, I shouldn't be in North Carolina in the first place. Y'all hired me to not send me to North Carolina. Third, I'm just going off. You know what I'm saying? And I was talking to one of the managers of the managers of the manager, and he said something to me like, it don't matter where you drive, or it don't matter where we send you. And I was already getting madder and madder and losing my temper. So when he said that, I had to really stop myself. And the conversation was dead. It was like, I ain't got shit else to say to you. You over here playing with me to my face. I was in Missouri, they main terminal in racist ass Joplin, Missouri, a place that I've been many times. And another, they kind of Confederate flag. They kind of a Confederate flag state. Halfway northern state, halfway. And that's where Missouri, that's where all the trouble started. That's where the Black Lives Matter protests have been the worst. I've driven through some of those protests. I've seen some crazy stuff, man. I mentioned I was with CRST between 2013 and 2015. That's when the Black Lives Matter protest was the craziest, and I was not a fan of Black Lives Matter at the time. I didn't have much to say about them because how could I disagree with what they were protesting? The racism and all this other type of stuff. I didn't, I'm probably sure I didn't say anything bad about them. I definitely couldn't support what they were doing. Having these little teenagers, these college students and other people were riling up high school kids to riot and protest. And by protest, these motherfuckers was running in traffic on the highway, on a crazy busy highway. That's a busy ass highway that runs through Ferguson. So I definitely don't like that cowardice, getting kids to riling them up. These angry kids are already mad because the police harassed them the worst. And this is what Trump is doing. Trump wants to do this more. I'm 47, but I'm not a bitch and gonna act like I don't care that they're harassing kids. I went through it myself, being from Chicago and living in San Antonio. I experienced that, the jump out boys. And if you experience it or not, you know it's real. These kids aren't even the kids doing the most drugs. You go to the projects, yeah, there are drug dealers there and all that, and a lot of them are kids. But most of those kids, that's the funny thing about these poor kids in the ghetto. Most of them don't mess with drugs at all because they see the horrors of it. These suburban kids are the ones that do the most drugs. Another reason I supported Ron Paul so much. He wanted to end the drug war, and he's the only politician that said, honestly, white people do most of the drugs, black people do most of the time for it. White people, that's just part of their culture. Party and get high. Really, that's what party means to them. Party to them means do cocaine. And heroin, unfortunately, that's probably the interracial drug right there, man. Heroin just ravages lives. I wouldn't be surprised at all if heroin and heroin-related things were, it's not no disparity. Equal amount of people are doing heroin, and then now because of fentanyl, people are so addicted to being comfortable. We're dissolving as a society. Evolve or dissolve. That's one of my most famous sayings. One of my favorite sayings. I say it all the time. Evolve or dissolve. Every second of every day, you're either doing one. You're either evolving or you're dissolving. And if you believe in God or science or whatever, you know that to evolve, it takes hard times. You don't evolve by sitting in air conditioning, eating chips all day. You dissolve. But again, science. Another word for devolution. As a matter of fact, I kind of made up the word devolution. They don't use the word devolution. They use the word relaxed selection. Relaxed selection. They have natural selection, which means survival of the fittest, and the stronger, more experienced, more advanced of the species, they breed the most, and they breed the toughest children that can survive the most adversity. And what I call devolution, scientists call relaxed selection. When things get too comfortable, when things get too easy, there's not fighting for food or resources, you start to devolve, or you start to select for things that don't suit progress of the species. So again, if you believe in God, or you believe the Bible, the Holy Bible, tells you to work hard 6 days a week and only take 1 day off. It don't just tell you to work, it tells you to toil. Work and toil in the sun. Fight against the ground. You know, men are supposed to be out in the sun working, getting darker, becoming dark, handsome men. And women are supposed to be working amongst themselves, doing domestic work. All of this is hard work. Nowadays, the ones talking the most shit, talking about the migrants, the ones doing all the hard physical labor. You ain't hard workers. This young kid that just shot up to school was mad because he had to work for bills, work shitty jobs for bills. That's his quote in his manifesto, work shitty jobs for bills. This kid ain't never had no shitty job. He's 23 years old. I will guarantee you that this kid has never worked a job where he's baking in the sun 60 hours a week. Look at him. Look at how pale he was. I don't care if you're a white ginger or not. You work in the sun 60 hours a week, you gonna cook, you gonna get dark. I don't care if you're albino, you gonna get dark. Well, if you're albino, it probably is a little bit more dangerous. Who knows? They could probably slap on some sunscreen, put on a hat, put on some protective clothes and work out there. But you're gonna get dark. The sun cooks you. You end up having hands that look like, you know, do I got my hammer on me today? Sometimes I just be punching hammers, you know what I'm saying? I sometimes keep a sledgehammer where I can reach it. It's in the truck bed right now, but I be punching that hammer, man. Soft ass kids, man. Soft ass maggots. Look at them. Look at these maggot people. Talking about the migrants. These little bitty Mexicans that be working their asses off. Or were working their asses off. And they're getting deported and thrown in crazy ass detention camps. So yeah, why can't I work where I want to work? I'm willing to drive in. I remember I was yelling at somebody at CFI about this. Like, y'all hired me to drive in about 22 states. I'm willing to drive in about 38. Y'all insist on me driving in the 12 states I say never send me to. WTF, man. And then to all these other truckers out there that talk about how hard it is to be a trucker. No, it ain't. Not for most of you. Most of y'all are bitches. I'll say it. Everybody talk about these truckers and shit. That's why everybody hates you motherfuckers. And now somebody that was part of the fraternity, I hate you motherfuckers. You maggots. Worried about transgenders. And a lot of these people complaining about kids and shit. You ain't even got no fucking kids. The fuck you even talking about? And they're not doing none of that transgender shit. Name one school where they're reassigning kids, especially without the parents' permission. And you ain't getting no parents' permission. Ain't nobody finna, no. No, especially my kid. You know what I'm saying? My adult kid is one thing. My babies, you better not even ask me no question like that. And I got sons. Don't none of my sons want to be girls, man. Are you kidding me? Don't know boys, you know what I'm saying? For the most part, you talking about a very small percent. It's got to be less than 1%. It's probably less than 1% of 1% that even have those issues, whatever they are. And if somebody has issues like that, why not have some compassion for them, man? That's got to be horrible, man. These people got the highest suicide rates. And unlike you school shooters, most of them, when they take themselves out, they don't take a bunch of kids out with them. Just like this punk that just did the school shooting a couple hours ago. Today, the 27th. The first school shooting of this school year happened today, a few hours ago. A school in Minnesota. Young white male, 23 years old. He might have been 22. I see that he was born in 2002. He was born in 2002. Just like a lot of these young punk ass men. They literally couldn't shovel nothing. Like doing a 8-hour day. You know, a lot of these laborers, they work 11, 12, 13, 14-hour days. They're working before the sun is up, working till after the sun goes down. Swinging the shovel. Most of these young punk-ass school shooters, so tough with guns, if they tried to swing a shovel or a pickaxe for an hour or two, even if they tried, they will give up way before an hour hits. But if they force themselves to do it for an hour or two, their hands would be all blistered and probably bleeding. You little punks. You little punks. And you the ones that talk all this masculine shit. You ain't masculine. But it's about to be time to put up or shut up. And as far as driving trucks in South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, the very last company I talked to, I said all the things I had to say, and she was like, our company's in Florida. I'm like, well, that's on the East Coast, and I'm not going to be stationed out of Florida. Like, what are you telling me that for? I would have to be stationed. That would be my home terminal, Florida. I'm saying I don't want to drive in any Confederate states. I really don't even want to be in most parts of Texas. You know, I'm in Austin, and I used to be in San Antonio. I'm not happy with San Antonio right now either. I don't want to live there. They racist too, man. They racist too. You know. You got the weird-ass racists there. Half of them are Hispanics, but they don't want to be Hispanic. And they'll say, I'm Hispanic, but I'm white. And a lot of them won't even say it. They'll be like, I'm Hispanic, but they don't like Chicanos. They don't like a word that they love to use, mohau. That's basically the slur that Hispanic, like especially white Hispanics, they call dark Hispanics and foreign Hispanics that mohau. You just as bad as the white supremacists. You are white supremacists. And then y'all be posing for white, the weirdest shit in the world. So many of them. Be bleaching love bleaching their hair blonde. With your black ass eyebrows and shit. Like, well, seriously, their hair be blacker than mine. Because my hair, it don't stay black. When I work in the sun, my hair turns red quickly. But, yeah. Venting, getting it off my chest. But yeah, stop talking, stop. You don't want me in your truck stops, and it'll be cool if I'm in your truck stops if I wear cowboy boots and a cowboy hat and dress like you and talk like you and sit in a truck stop with you while you say things like, I love black people, I just hate niggers. Man, I'll slap shit out you, man. You better watch your motherfucking mouth, bitch. I'm not Chris Rock or his punk ass family. I don't find that shit funny. I don't like it when black people say goof ass shit like that. I damn sure don't want your white ass saying it. And then if you do have the nerve to say it to me, well, get ready for what's coming back. You say don't get offended. Well, don't get offended, motherfucker. Don't get offended. I know plenty of racial slurs for white people that you ain't never heard before. You know, favorite is Peckerwood. Of course, we love saying Peckerwood, even though the white supremacists call themselves Peckerwoods in there. uh, cave, you know, Neanderthal. My favorite is troglodyte. I love troglodyte. Snow bunnies and snow bears, snow monkeys. We love snow monkeys. Cave beast. But like I say, troglodyte, that's a good one. But troglodyte ain't a racial slur. That's a scientific term, and it really does mean the white man. It's a scientific term for white man. You're troglodytes. Basically caveman. Dirty, hairy, stinky, cannibalistic caveman. You eat your own babies like a cat that wants to go back and eat. And again, we shouldn't get offended when people use the N-word. We shouldn't get offended with all the stuff, all the countless racial terms for black people and descendants of American slaves who built this fucking country. Having people who ain't even 3 generations. That dude, Mehdi Hassan, or however you may say his name, he had a debate with a lot of hardcore far-right extremists. So many of these motherfuckers was first generation. Talking shit about my people. Talking shit about my people. We've been here for hundreds of years. My ancestry 100% goes back 400 years. Black and white ancestors. And I gotta listen to somebody whose parents weren't even born here talking about go back to your country. This is my country, motherfucker. And who knows, I might drive trucks again and I might drive on the East Coast again, but it is what it is. Play with me if you want to. Play with me if you want to. I ain't bulletproof, and I know I ain't bulletproof. That's why I'm going to stay out the way of the bullet. And y'all got to stay out of the way of the bullet. We got to freaking survive, man. Survive. Stay alive. We will thrive. We going to make it. We don't got to fake it. We going to make it. And the traitors, the haters, the black people who with a racial inferiority complex, they love the white person and kiss the white person ass no matter what. And they're the ones that say that we should just bow down and all that. When the maggots was invading the Capitol January 6th, why didn't they just comply? Ashley Babbitt got shot because she wouldn't comply. So why is it any different for poor little Tamir Rice? Little cute kid, man. Little 14-year-old boy playing with a BB gun in the park. Or Philando Castillo. Never reached for his gun. Never reached for his gun. Told the cop everything, completely complied, said I have a concealed carry license. And that cop unloaded on him with his fiance sitting right next to him and his 3-year-old daughter sitting in the back seat in the car seat. The thing that disgusts me the most about that is that little girl, she ran and jumped into the arms of a white cop. Y'all just murdered this man. He's dead and dying. And he got the last thing he see is his little daughter running to the beast that killed him to get away from the gun. But she's a little bitty girl. What is she supposed to do? She don't know no better. You're not disgusted by that. NRA ain't got nothing to say about that. And like I say, with Philando Castillo, a teacher, a coach, by all accounts, a real man, an armed carrier, a concealed carrier, a protector. Literally, it's his job to protect and raise children. The maggots don't have nothing to say about this. These bitches that are bitching about Big Balls getting his nose busted by some high school kids. And you know he started that fight. This motherfucker called himself Big Balls. Trying to talk crazy to some kids in their city. What'd you say? Get away from here. How dare you? Get in the car, sweetheart, while I protect you. Now let me tell you something. Your little bitch ass, what happened to your big balls? Got your bitch ass beat up by some high school kids. And you like 23. Nigga, when I was 23, shit, it better be a whole bunch of high school kids trying to whoop my ass. They might get me now that I'm 47. It won't be easy. And they ain't gonna leave unscathed. They gonna catch some of these hammers. You know, when you're a high school kid, you better not let no grown ass man like me thump on your ass a few times. And your parents better not say shit to me. Kids try to jump me, they gonna come home looking lumped and bumped like Martin from the Tommy Hearns episode. Go home looking like the Mask. And I ain't playing with you. I ain't like these punk ass dudes up here talking about, I ain't fighting nobody, I'm gonna pull my gun. Yeah, that's why your bitch ass is, first of all, you a bitch. Second of all, these kids got guns. This is Wild Wild West. You up a strap on them, these motherfuckers pull out a chop on your ass, or what they love. These kids today, they're carrying these things that they're calling switches, man. That stuff, when it shoots, it goes. It don't go. It go. It just spit out like, man, ridiculous. But yeah, man, it's these parents' faults. It's you punk ass trolls. Everybody trolling, and you know the guy Raja, whatever his name is, Raja Jackson, Randy Jackson's son, beat somebody face in, and he really hit that dude like these cartoon characters. There's one cartoon, I believe it's called Invincible or something like that, and then there's these other cartoons, Naruto and all this other stuff. And in those cartoons, these dudes be like pounding, somebody be on the ground and they just be pounding their face in. This is what you've been showing your kids. This is what you watch with your kids. And now a grown-ass kid got up there and did it to somebody. And everybody's like, oh my God. And not only did he do it, but you literally had a bunch of people trolling him in the chat saying, do it, do it, do it. And as soon as he did it, why'd you do that? Young black men. Young black and brown men, young men, period. That's the reality of this life, man. That's the reality of this life. The main motherfuckers that will put the key in your back or instigate you to do some crazy shit. The instigators. I'm telling you, the instigators are the worst ones. The instigators, I'm telling you, man, I wish some young men to see this, man. I'm telling you. The main ones instigating are going to be the main ones talking shit and throwing bricks from the crowd to stone you. They're going to be just like with this Raja Jackson shit. The chat hype, Kick. He's on Kick, streaming on Kick. The majority of his Kick stream is always calling him pussies, calling him bitches, saying you ain't going to do this, you ain't going to do that. Instigating. The minute he does something, Kick deactivates his account, and all the trolls are like, I can't believe he did that. What's wrong with him? He's crazy. He should be under the jail. Stop trying to impress people, man. The main ones, look, if a motherfucker's talking shit and hating, you ain't gonna never impress that motherfucker anyway. And then on top of it, they probably know the shit that they clowning you about is pretty fucking cool, man. This is a stupid ass world, stupid ass country. And the crowd is always stupid, man. The crowds are stupid. Don't do what the crowd does. You know, it's like something, you know, as an Uber driver, and I'm mad at Uber right now. Like I say, these punks still ain't, they think it's a joke. I'm not driving for them no more. They damn sure got to address what happened this morning. But the main ones that instigate you, dating a lot of women to teach you this too. A woman to nag. And then as soon as you snap and do some crazy shit that she might have been instigating you to do, she gonna be the first one. I didn't say to do all that. You've been saying to do that for months or weeks or whatever. Nya. That's bitches. That's what the word bitch means. Type of motherfucker that complain about shit that they should be trying to fix themselves, but they refuse to. They just gonna complain about it till somebody else fix it. Or like that punk ass shit. I remember years ago when I was in jail, young teenager in jail, man, we had this real live asshole in the dorm. This is a real true story. I'm gonna end this, and I'm not gonna get too deep into this story, but this is some real shit. The second dude that I fought when I was going to adult jail as a young man, 18 years old. Dude come in the dorm, and this motherfucker was one of them dudes. He talks shit all day. He want to tell the dozens all day. And he's in there, and this motherfucker would love to talk about running around with his chopper. I ran around with the chopper, man. He would do this. I can't demonstrate it real good, but he would say he held the chopper like this, and he'd be like, and then I pulled out that chopper, and I was chop, 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 chop. Anyway, I was playing dominoes all the time, and I played the dominoes with him, and this fool just loved trying to play the dozens with me. And a lot of time I just be like, say, man, I don't play that shit, man. I don't do that, man. Chill out, man. I'm not trying to play the dozen with you, man. I did that shit when I was real young, man. I'm gonna pause this real quick, see what this phone call about. It stopped ringing. That was probably my spam blocker. But anyway, we playing dominoes, and he'd be like, yeah, on your bitch ass, or yeah, $2 in your asshole and all that. And I'm like, say, man, you can talk shit, but watch the disrespect, man. I don't play that shit, man. I'm from Chicago, bitch. I don't know where the fuck you get that from, but that's what we do in little kids. And I outgrew that quick. I'll beat your ass back then. I beat your ass in the 5th or 6th grade. You get to talking crazy. Like all that your mama shit. We could play the dozens, but keep my mama out of it. You don't know my mama, and I don't fuck with you like that. I already don't like you, and you probably don't like me. That's what's up with all these jokes in the first place. You better watch your motherfucking mouth. Anyway, this dude talking shit. And one day I snapped on him. And I was like, and that was something too, because he was talking shit. And I was like, ain't no choppers in this bitch, nigga. Ain't no choppers in this bitch. And it was that situation, I'm like the tall, skinny one. He a little bit shorter than me, but he's stocky and he cocky. And he used to do this thing where he would like shadow box in the dorm. Like he would look in places you could see your reflection, because we didn't have a lot of good mirrors in this particular prison, in this jail. It's Bexar County Jail, San Antonio. And he would anytime he'd see his reflection, he would do this thing and he act like he was boxing, and I just look at him like, I'm gonna fuck this dude up one day, man. I don't want to fight him. I'm trying to stay out of trouble. I'm trying to stay cool. And also there was a lot of riots in the jail, and they was just letting us off a lockdown. So all the dudes in the dorm was like, man, you can't fight him, man. You can't fight him. We both black, and these riots was racial riots, but they still was like, man, y'all can't fight, man. They gonna fuck us up. They gonna in the day room and all this other shit. And I was like, y'all better tell him. Y'all better tell him, because I done warned him too many times. And like a couple of those warnings, like that one day, I was like, ain't no choppers in this bitch, nigga. You really better recognize, motherfucker. I can't remember exactly how I said it, but I know I did say that. Ain't no choppers in this bitch. And everybody was like, ooh. And that's when he looked at all serious and all that, and he was like, he said something. But I know we went back and forth, and I know I was like, I put my fingers in his face, and I was like, say, bitch. You know what I'm saying? You a bitch, nigga. Like we getting real close to go time, man. You talking all this shit, bro. I didn't say bro back then. We weren't talking like that. It probably was like, you talking all this shit, nigga. You feeling about to have to back this shit up. Anyway, it came time to go. I beat this motherfucker ass. We had 2 fights. First fight in the day room. Beat his motherfucking ass. I beat his ass. The second fight, we end up catching cell. I beat his motherfucking ass in that cell. But I let him tell it, like I made a little deal with him. I was like, for this to be over, we just ain't gonna talk about what happened in the cell. You know what I'm saying? Don't be trying to tell people you whooped my ass, but I ain't gonna tell people that, I beat your ass and you tapping out and shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's over with. You know what I'm saying? You leave me alone. You don't say shit else to me. I won't say shit else to you. And I won't tell people that you tapped out. Anyway, he was like, let me leave. Let me walk out the cell first. Now, he didn't say what happened in the cell, but he strutted out the cell like he didn't just damn near get choked unconscious in that motherfucker. Anyway, I can't even say this dude's name because about a month after he was released, he was murdered. About a month after he was released, he was murdered. Not by me. I was still locked up. I was still fighting my case. I wasn't getting out no time soon. But about a month after he was released, he was murdered. Real similar to how his father was murdered. And the main moral from the story that I learned there, if somebody's pissing you off, don't you be the one to solve that problem. Don't you be the one to snap on them. They might seem like they're getting away with shit. They might seem like they ain't gonna never have their day in court, or they ain't gonna never pay the piper, but they gonna pay the piper. And even if they don't, they gonna be miserable, and everybody around them is gonna be miserable. Sometimes the miserable motherfuckers, they their own worst punishment. And if somebody doesn't appreciate your grace, your personality, the best thing you could do for yourself is take your presence and your grace away from them. If people ain't appreciating you and they really not appreciating you because you're good, it's that situation where they're taking your kindness for weakness and they really being bullies. You know, that's one of the crazy things in the world, man. And the thing about bitches only bitch at the people who will listen to them bitching. So don't be a bitch. Be strong. You know what I'm saying? Be strong, man. And be strong in a special way. All these young men snapping and shit. Be strong. Be tough, man. Spend your 40 days in the desert. And to spend your 40 days in the desert, you got to be in that desert, man. It's hot. You know what I'm saying? It's not the motherfucker that fights snakes and scorpions that get bit by them. It's the motherfuckers that's scared of them. Be respectful. Be respectful of snakes and scorpions. So watch your step. Look for movement. Listen for that rattle. Listen for the hiss. Or like a famous old saying, keep your grass cut so that the snakes, because the snakes in there, you be able to see the snakes. You can't see the snakes slithering if the grass is too tall. Maintenance. Take care of yourself. Take care of what's around you. You know, maintenance. Get rid of the weeds out of your life. Somebody getting on your nose, get rid of them. A lot of these red pill dudes who be bitching about how they can't keep a woman because they're too nice, that's bullshit. Ain't no too nice. You a mean motherfucker, but you a bitch. So you mean to who you could be mean to. You mean to who will take it. And meanwhile, you like that dude, that guy that got checked on the airplane when he was yelling at all these black women, nigga this and nigga that. Then that black dude picked him up, put him in his seat and said, sit your ass down. He didn't say nothing to that dude. He looked up at him like, and that's how a lot of you tough talking dudes is. Or like this bitch ass dude I talked about, this school shooter from earlier today, a couple hours ago. Shot himself before the cops. This motherfucker shot a bunch of unarmed children. He got all his tactical gear, dressed up like he going to war. But he killed himself before the motherfuckers with the gun show up. Complaining about this, complaining about that, complaining about how the world is unfair. And your answer to that is to be unfair to some others who ain't got no say in none of this. Little kids, man. You know, I talk a lot of shit and people try to call me a racist, but anybody who's ever been around me or anybody who knows me, besides these racist motherfuckers I be talking about who just go off my appearance, be snatching their kids away from me and shit. And that's the irony of the thing. Motherfuckers act like I want to do something to they stinky, ugly little kids. Nigga, I don't want your kids touching me. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? I love my kids, but wash your hands before you touch me. And I'm not even playing. I be telling my kids that. Wash your motherfucking hands. Don't be touching me with dirty hands, man. You little sticky ass kids. You know? And I clean my kids, I clean them up. They're my kids. You know? They're my kids. I love my kids. I don't care how big they get, man. I'll wipe their ass if they crippled enough. I ain't gonna wipe their ass because they lazy or because they gain too much weight to take care of themselves. And to my kids, if y'all hear this, don't count on that shit. Don't count on that shit. I'm getting older and older. If anything, you better be changing my diaper, motherfucker. I done changed all diapers before. The future is gonna be you changing my diaper. Take good care of yourself. Take good care of yourself. I done told you about all that sugar and shit like that. Don't eat like your mama. Eat like your daddy. Spinach and healthy ass food and shit. Clean food. No fried food. Happens sometimes. And even me, I've been eating too much fried chicken. That's why my cholesterol was high, unbelievably. Been eating a lot of fried chicken lately, but I got this one restaurant. Food done went up so much. I got this one of my favorite little local restaurants. They got little specials where they be selling fried chicken for real cheap. But it's raining right now, and I got to go get some shelter, so peace out. Peace out. Damn, technology always embarrassing me. This is the conclusion of my new branding of my new podcast, Fighting Idiocracy. This is my new podcast. The name of it is going to be Fighting Idiocracy. I'm not going to call it the Bro Nogan Podcast no more. Fuck Joe Rogan. I don't want to worry about him. I'm just going to stop watching it. Joe Rogan, you sold out the audience that built you to who you are for these new maggots. Rush Limbaugh has been dead for a lot of years, and I can't fit through these trucks. Can I? Are they parked too close? Yeah, I can fit through it. Damn, I'm a good-ass driver. Look at my mirrors as... Look out the back window, how close those two trucks are. And I'm dab smack in the middle of them. It's an old trucking company that I was thinking about applying for, but you know what, man? Fuck that. That's a really hard job. That's a moving company. I'm 47 years old. I don't need to be working at no fucking moving company no more. And just like the whole thing that this video started about, why work for these motherfuckers that's gonna get mad at you for working for them? Man, I can't wait, man. You white people, y'all gonna have to starve to death. It went viral not a few years ago, but about a month or two ago, when they was rounding up all these workers and they sent them out the country. A lot of these MAGA voters was literally getting on the internet talking about black people need to come back and work these farms. Motherfucker, we will starve. The descendants of slaves, ADOS, American descendants of slaves, motherfucker, we will starve to death and eat our own bones before we fucking go work on your farms. If you get us on your farms, motherfucker, you better study about Nat Turner. You don't want that. You don't want that. And we different. We a completely different breed than our ancestors. Much love and much respect to our ancestors. But motherfucker, a whip ain't shit. You hit us with a whip and you think that's gonna make us go, oh, Lordy, please. You hit us with a whip, we going ape shit on your ass. Some of these racists on these websites like to use the term chimp out. And Rajah Jackson beat the shit out that dude, you know. Look, I hope he recovers, man. Shout out to him. I hope he recovers. But damn, he hit Rajah first. And he's not a wrestler. He's not a worker. He thought he was a worker. Hey, man, so many young kids in Chicago get shot every year thinking the wrong thing, messing with the wrong person, playing with the wrong person. They don't even hit nobody. They might say the wrong thing to the wrong person, step on the wrong foot. And the problem is these motherfuckers are so mad because of trolls and racism. I remember the first time I got in trouble for inciting a riot. You know, these white boys was going all around Gary Job Corps, writing nigger this and nigger that all over Job Corps. And I was in welding at the time. And they was really writing it over the welding department. And I'm confronting people left and right. You wrote that shit? I bet you wrote that shit. Everybody denying they wrote it. Somebody wrote that shit. And I know it wasn't none of the blacks. First of all, it wasn't that many blacks in welding. I knew all the blacks. And we hung out tough. So they couldn't have wrote it. We together all the time. And on top of it, these fools was misspelling nigger. They was spelling it Neggar. Niggers this, niggers that. Anyway, I can't tell the rest of that story because like, share, subscribe. If I could become a professional YouTuber, I'll keep it 100, which I already keep it 100. But I keep it 1,000 with you. Once I can hire a lawyer and write this shit, get a writing staff, I might talk, you know, I want to write the story of my life one day. So help me out. Help me retire. Like, share, subscribe, and I'm going to start putting my PayPal in there. Support a brother like me, man. It's so funny, these motherfuckers talk this shit on the internet all the time. Do y'all see where I be recording my videos, man? Do you really think that I'm afraid of you motherfuckers on there trolling? You wouldn't say this in a motherfucker's face. Motherfucker, I got fucking video. Nigga, I've been arrested dozens of times. Some of my shit is real embarrassing. Some of the arrest footage is embarrassing. Some of the times I get into my little scuffles with the police, it's embarrassing. You know, I be losing. But again, it don't be no one-on-one shit. You and your buddies ain't gonna whoop my ass. Especially like these little internet trolls and shit. The little dude who shot up the school and shit. You better have a gun. Chances are I'm gonna still get your ass. Anyway, peace out. Love, air grease.